I can't wait for you guys to hear my conversation with Kenda. She was my first hire of Black and Green, and it started off as a work relationship turned into a friendship. And then with some friendship, some hurt happened, and we had to migrate forgiveness. And so I can't wait for you guys to hear how we did that.
I remember where I was when Jai called me and said that you were in the accident. I hadn't talked to her, but I had heard about her before because you talked about her. And I just remember thinking, what? Like, it was just like instant grief. Forgiveness is so loving. It's just like, you did these things, but it doesn't matter. Like, in the grand scheme of things, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to move forward. We're going to be better people to each other.
We always talk about give ourselves grace. What does that mean? And she said the root of giving yourself grace is forgiveness. In order for you to give yourself grace, you have to forgive yourself. So then my brain started going, why is forgiveness so hard? It's like almost like we're trying to punish ourselves. Like, I didn't do that thing right, so I'm going to be mean to myself because I deserve that meanness. Like, why? Like, why are we being mean to ourselves? Like, forgive.
Welcome to the Black and Green podcast.
Can you hear it?
It's your go-to place to find the latest high-quality, all-natural products created by Black artisans. Hosted by yours truly, Dr. Kristian H., the founder of Black and Green. We'll discuss all things health, wellness, self-care, and of course, self-love. This podcast features a refreshing lineup of guests, from entrepreneurs and artisans to holistic lifestylists and clean beauty experts, and a plethora of other innovators within the wellness industry. Join me as we learn from the best of the best.
The best of the best. Yes, yes.
I love that
And
intro.
thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I have so many questions of different ways I can start this. So I'm going to start it by one of my mantras I created right before I started Black and Green was be happy, be healthy, be free. How do you think that resonates with you? What resonates with you the most? How do you feel happy? How do you feel healthy? How do you feel free? How does that sit on you? How does that feel?
I feel free when I am 100% myself, where I can be in different spaces and be 100% myself. Um, I am happy when I am with my family and my dogs, which are kind of like my family. And I feel whole when I'm pouring into myself. When I am taking the time out, as a mom, you have to carve out time for yourself. And so just like my early mornings, journaling or meditating, or just sometimes I just sit there and just like try to get my mind together. That's when I feel the most whole, because I know on the days when I don't do that, my day may not go as planned because I'm giving so much to everyone else. So yeah.
Mm-mm. You were my first hire for Black and Green.
You
Like
said that. I was not aware until you
first
told me that.
first hire of Black and Green. And let me tell you, when I hired you, I ain't have no money at all. Had negative money. So I don't know my question. My question is, I had negative money.
Mhm.
You were my first hire. Why? Yeah, I'll go with the why. Why did you sew into Black and Green with negative money?
Well, I think up until that point, so that was like 2018. So I
Mm-hmm.
had started my business in like 2017, 2016, and you were the first person who knew exactly what they wanted. And I think because I had not defined what I was doing yet, I was just taking on little hodgepodge situations. I did like operations and did stuff that like I can do, but like you should probably get an operations specialist to do.
Yes, yes.
I'm a communicator.
Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. I forgot
Mhm.
something. Continue.
Yeah. So what was the question again? You said, why did I sew?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I sold, well, at first you did pay me. You just so we're clear, you did. You paid my price. And I think the reason why I wanted to work with you specifically is because you were the first client that I had up until that point, which was not that many. I think I might have had like 5 clients prior to this. Um, you knew exactly what you wanted. You had already gotten all the materials that you needed. You had your brand colors. You had your ideal customer. You had how I should speak to the customer, just everything. And you just made it so simple. I was just like, oh, I can do this in my sleep. And I really identified with the Black owned part of it because my Black owned journey started in like 2012, 2011. And that's when it was very, very, very difficult to find high quality Black owned products. And there was a box that I used to get that was so high quality. It was called Ujama box. Do you remember that? Yeah. So I was getting Ujama boxes and I was getting introduced to all, these different brands. But then I was like, oh, 75 brands, 35. I think you might have had less than that. It was probably like 30, 40 brands at the time. And I was just like, wow, there are Black women making this high quality stuff that I know could go in Macy's and Target and Walmart. This stuff is ready to compete in the marketplace. I was like, yeah, let me do that. And then the second part, which was really helpful, is you were like, hey, I will give you those products so that you can try them and test them out and you could love them too. So that was a part of my package. And so I went from getting introduced to like 5 a month to like just so many as it grew and grew. So I just had a lot of fun. It was really at the intersection of things I was interested in and then things that I excelled at. And so both of those things came together.
Yes, absolutely. So you were my first hire and for Black and Green, and I feel like a friendship formed out of it. And they often say, don't mix friend and business. And so, but it was interesting when we started off as business, then the friendship came after it, and then we started trying to do business. So I just would like to hear your perspective, how all that hodgepodge of stuff happened.
So I think I went into it business, but you would say things that were so friend-like. I would be like, are we friends? Like I would just have to check myself. But I had been in situations where I felt that I might have been friends with my client and they clearly put down the boundary. And so I was like, okay, but I don't want to assume anything. And I don't think it was until when you and Jason were at the old house in DC and you had a dinner and you proclaimed you said you guys are all an integral part of Black and Green, and I'm also proud that you are my friends. And I was like, oh, I guess we're friends. And so then it was just like kind of like a dance between like, how do you keep those two things together? Because, when you do mix business with pleasure, then you might lose someone in the process, which we experience too, not having those boundaries and understanding. I think everything I know about boundaries, I learned from you about, and my therapist, but my first introduction to boundaries came from you. So.
How do you define friend?
I defined a friend as someone who, number one, sees you. I think you cannot have a friendship if someone can't see you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have even seen all of you. They might have just seen a part, but they see that part in its purest form, and they will do everything they can to nurture, support, back up. That's what I believe a friend is. And it's been different over the years because I think I've had to have that conversation in my 30s of friend, acquaintance, family, and like these little pockets that we put people into. And so friend has definitely been, I think I can count how many friends I have on both of my hands. So I think I'm, kind of higher on the friendship level, but yeah, that's how I see friend. That's what's important to me, is that people see me, because I feel like I see the people that I love and the people that are my friends. So asking for the same.
Yeah. How does somebody show you that they see you?
They show me that they see me. It's just like the little details. Like with you, you'll see like a little detail of something and you'll be able to expand on it. So like what I mean by that is like you'll say something like, "You're so good at that. Why aren't you doing more of that?" It's like you put a seed in my head and then I'm like, why am I not doing that anymore? And it's like sometimes when we are together, I when I leave, I have so many questions. Like I have to journal, I have to write stuff in my notes, I have to do something because I know that the information that you've given me or the way that you've poured into me or the questions that you've posed to me that maybe I'm not ready to answer yet, which is often, I need to remember those because I'm going to explore them at some point. And I also appreciate, even if I'm not ready, you are patient. And a lot of people are not patient when it comes to like, maybe I don't know what I feel right now, but you allow that space for someone to figure that out.
How can you be patient with someone? What does patience look like? What does it feel like? Like, I feel like I try to get away from buzzwords like boundaries and patience because like, what do they actually mean? So like, what does it mean? Like, how can you show patience to somebody? Like, that's a big thing I'm asking for now. But how? How can you show patience?
I think just looking at the timeline and or allowing the person to show up in their timeline. I think there's a lot of discourse right now, especially like on Twitter, about how, because I'll never call it X, by the way. I will never ever call Twitter X. Yeah, I refuse. But there's a lot of discourse about like how everyone is just really feeling it. Life is lifing for everyone right now. I don't think there's anyone that's not touched by it, by what is going on, spiritually, astrologically, and like physically right now with like the election, with like the prices of food, gas, just like taking care of yourself is so much more expensive than it's ever been. And I think that patience is understanding that this person hasn't texted me back or they may have not called me back. That's not a negative reflection on me as a person. I didn't do anything. I'm allowing this person to take their time to come because they'll come when they're ready. And you always said that when we had our friendship breakup. You're like, you'll come when you're ready. Don't worry. You could say that right now. That's fine. I'll see you in a few years. Like you were just so, sure. So like the patience and just saying, I know that this is a good friend. I know that this is someone that I want in my life and I'm going to create the space for them to come in their own time. Yeah, that's what
I think you hit on something really strong and powerful there. In their own time. I think a part of patience is that you can't outline what the path is and what the expectation is and expect someone to fall into it. And if they don't, create this whole narrative of why they didn't. You have to say they will in their time. You have to be okay with whatever time that is. All right, now you done hinted around our little friendship breakup a couple of times. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's talk about our friendship breakup.
Okay.
Let's see. We here. We here now.
Who wants to start?
You start.
So you and I had a friendship break because I think this was okay. So there's like a lot of context that we need, and some of it is involving your accident. Are you okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. So I remember where I was when Jai called me and said that you were in the accident. I hadn't talked to her, but I had heard about her before because you talked about her. And I just remember thinking, what? Like, it was just like instant grief because she did not mince her words. She was like, it doesn't look good, all of these things, but we're praying, for a miracle, all of that. And then immediately I was like, wait, we were supposed to have a meeting today or like Monday or whatever. Who's in charge now? Because at that point it was just you, me, and then there were some vendors, like you had the
1099 contractors.
Yeah, shipped your products, and then like some other contractors that and I wasn't like a lead on the team or anything. It was just like, I had my job. Everyone had their job that they did. So it's like, how are we going to bring everyone together? Oh my goodness. Like, I still need to post. What do I post? Like, there was no contingency plan for what would happen because it was always you were going to be there. And so I think I talked to your mom. I talked to someone else in your family. It might have been your mom, and just like, just do what you know. What do you know? What do you not know? Got on a call with Jai. We like looked around, like, do you know where this paperwork is? Do you know where that is? Do you know the code to her credit card? Just things I was like, no, why would I know? I just do communications. Like, I don't know any of this stuff. And I was like, well, I know, but one thing I did know was your password, because, well, you should change it right now after I say this. Okay.
Go ahead and say it's already been changed.
Okay, good. Because it was the same password for everything. And I was like, well, I do know her password. And so then that's how they were able to get into some things. And then Jason had started the blog, talking about his experience. And then I wrote, I think I did a regular post, and then I did the post because it took me forever to write a social media press release. That was one of the first times I ever had to do that and say, this is what's going on. And I knew that also people had purchased things. So when was that coming? I had to find out all those things. Like, as a communicator, you need to know, you have to have that 360. You have to have that full view of what's going on so you know what to say. You got to calm people down, because some people will be like, oh, some people don't care and just like are seeing it as a transaction. So I want my refund. Then you have the people who really want to know how you're doing. I remember talking to so many Black women celebrities during that time. That was like a shining point for me, because I was like, oh my goodness, this person is checking like Kristen. I can't wait till she wakes up so I can tell her that the people that we, looked at on TV are like trying to check in, and they know her. It made me realize how big Black and Green was. And I want to say something. There was one thing that I said that I was going to say that maybe I wouldn't say outside of us. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to what you did for artisans, like a lot of people, they're on the wave now. But you have to understand, in 2018, there weren't a lot of Black-owned products on the shelves. There was not a central place to buy those things. You would either have to go directly to that person, if you even knew about that company, and you would have to purchase it from them. You have about 3 options in the ethnic hair care aisle, skincare, and all that stuff. I don't even think there was stuff in skincare. There was not stuff in skincare. It was just hair. Yeah, it was just hair. So to have a one-stop shop, and some of the conversations that you had, the meetings that you would let me sit on, like, I was able to learn how to, present myself in meetings for large corporations. It was like training for me, even though I'm an excellent communicator, but the rooms that I was able to be introduced to by you really are, and you are such a titan when it comes to this lane that you're in. And it hurts me to know that people are not aware of that. And people just think you're just this one-dimensional person trying to get something off. No. What you see, what Black and Green was and is, and I still believe can be, was a place for people to see themselves. Because, we're coming off of the natural hair movement. After people are finally women are realizing, oh, my hair is beautiful. I can wear it this way. There's so many different ways to do it. So now it's like, okay, we can't just go to your hair. We have to go to your skin. Now, what are you putting on your skin? What are you putting on your lips? Do you know, depending on what type of lipstick you have on, you are eating chemicals, like things like that. It was just fun. It was fun because no one knew about it. And they were introduced to this whole new world. Now, fast forward to now, you can't go down an aisle without seeing a Black-owned product.
The 50% pledge is real.
Exactly. It's there. And it goes across outside of the big box stores, going into the department stores, going in all over the place. People, these companies are creating lines. But I would be crazy to not say that they learned at your feet. And they may not admit it. The NDAs and all those things up inside, they may not admit it, but they got that formula from Dr. Kristian Edwards. Period.
Thank you.
Period. It would not, I really believe that how things changed. And of course, there was a lot of other things going on in the atmosphere at the time, like, George Floyd, all the different pledges that people were making to buy black, that happened right before you went into your accident. So yeah, it's a lot. But okay, I gave a little bit of the context. Let me move forward. And so all of these things happened, and then I wrote the press release, and then I went from being a communications manager to an operations manager, or helping Jai to do that. Yep. And if every day this is when the no money part comes. This is when you can bring in the no money part. So I had to transition from a communications manager to an operations manager overnight. And it was very eye-opening because, again, I am a great communicator. When it comes to operations, there's like levels to it. And I was like in the infancy stage of operations, and I did my best, but we didn't have you to lean on, and we really tried to do it as much as we could in the way that you would. And it was one of the things that I think was because I was so connected to the mission and the vision and just the understanding of what you were wanting to do, that's what allowed me to still continue posting for over a year without pay, without, even getting any real information. It's just like, everyone was trying their best. Your mom was trying to make sure she was there for Jason, making sure she was there for your brother, for your dad, and all those things. And then also trying to give support to Jai. And then Jai's trying to do her high-powered public relations job and also be a co-operations manager. All these people pouring in, wanting to help, not knowing what to do. There was a time where people were willing to provide breast milk because they wanted to make sure, not Asher, oh my goodness. August.
August got breast milk donated to him for probably the first, the 8 months of his life.
Yeah, because you couldn't breastfeed. And even that commitment, everyone knows that your commitments are so strong. People who love you are going to do exactly what they need to do to make sure that is still sustained. There was no scenario where the ball would be dropped intentionally. No scenario where the ball would be dropped. It was all about when she wakes up, I want her to be proud and say that this is still running as close to as we can get how it was run before. There was a commitment to customer service. There was a commitment that you had to customer service excellence. There was a commitment to even the way that the products looked. There was you would get them in, if they weren't ready, you would get them in front of people who could help them with their labels and with their logos. And you had a solution for everything. If someone was just they weren't making enough units, okay, if you're still making your stuff with KitchenAid, this probably you're not ready, but here's the next steps. So you didn't just say, oh, absolutely you can't be on Black and Green. It was you can't be on Black and Green right now, but we see the potential in you. Here's some steps that you can do. And I think, when I think of, I always say W.E.B. Du Bois, but I think he's a good example of, when you get to a certain level, you are supposed to go back and get it. You are supposed to go and help those in front of you. And so you did not just turn people away. And so that mission, that vision, all of that is what kept me going. I would post Black and Green stuff first. Out of all my clients, I would get that done first, and then I would go about my day.
It's so beautiful because this is a time when you weren't getting paid. So you would still post Black and Green stuff first over your client that was paying you, because Black and Green spoke to your heart in a way.
Mm-hmm. It couldn't die. The idea, the message, the mission, it wasn't just me that you needed you. It was so many people and so many lives touched. It was so hard. It was difficult. It was very difficult. So we come back to you waking up, and I just sent, your mom says she woke up, just send her a text. I was so scared. I was like, she's not going to remember me. And so I was like, well, I'll just send her a video. So I sent her a video. I was like, hey, Kristen, it's me, Kenda. I hope you remember me. I remember you. And I was like, oh, good. So glad you remember me. And so then it was the transition back in, and the Kristen that we had before which I've always felt trepidation to say this, but I have said this to you. I've said it to your mom too. Was a different Kristen. It was a different Kristen. And you know, when you have a TBI, you know, it is, you're remembering you're remembering how your brain works again. You're still
I had to learn everything again. I had to learn everything. I had to learn how to walk again, talk again, eat again, everything. I had to learn everything again. Yeah, I had to re-mature.
Yes, dynamics. Like sometimes when you say stuff that you used to say, I'm like, ah, you remember? Okay, like it's back. Like you said something. I need to get it together. Like this, like that's Kristen. That's Kristen. It's like little glimpses and stuff. And it's just like, even seeing you now, right now, you are more Kristen now than you may have ever been. Because I think those things that you share now were always there. The same, be healthy, be happy, be whole is still, that's still a personal conviction for you. And so I just had to know that now Kristen looks at things, takes things at face value, at least in the beginning. So like everything is cut and dry. She does not have the context to really infuse, what is the word?
Not emotion.
Emotion. A little bit of emotion and just a little bit of
if everything is black and white, there's no room for gray. There's no room for understanding the context of things.
Yeah. And so I'm, you know, you made this miraculous, everyone kept on saying how much of it was a miracle. So I think I was treating you like, oh, Kristen, like, all right, Kristen, what are we going to do? I was used to ripping and running and just let's go. And this Kristen was more, not even methodical, because methodical you were back then too. It was just different. I just had to relearn you and relearn our friendship within the business relationship, which was you trying to get those things back on track. It seemed like you had the mission was more important than ever, but like some of the pieces were missing. So it was just like how you move forward was different. And then I started to, I think, probably grow a little resentful because of how I poured in. No one asked me to, and let me make that clear. Your mom asked me to support you. She did not ask me to run the whole business. So I don't even want to misconstrue that in any way. She just said, do what you can, do the best that you can. And that's what I did. And I think because I made it my personal mission and it seemed like you didn't really care that much. Now that I know that that is a context situation and not you just being ungrateful, I can see that now.
But that's not how it felt.
Then that's not how it felt. Or like when you would bring new people in and I'd be like, you would never have worked with these people before. Like you, and that's not even a judgment on them. It's just more so like just the level of distinction or the level of
what's the word? I can't think of the exact word.
I can't think of it either.
Not critique of analysis, maybe.
Like not what is the word? Level of excellence. I'm gonna say level of excellence. There was like a certain level of excellence, and people came in, they could say anything to you, and then you would get on board because you were just so happy that people wanted to work with you, but they weren't the right people. And it's hard to explain that to you without focusing on what you were going through and how you, because I knew that you were trying so hard to like show up every day like old Kristen, but old Kristen is gone. This is new Kristen. And like, I understood, I only understood parts of that. I didn't understand the full thing. And I didn't ask because I just wanted you to feel normal. And that was the cause of my resentment, because it's like, I felt like I couldn't have a frank conversation without talking about how it used to be. And I knew that you were moving forward. So that was my own overthinking, my own stuff. But it came to a head when we had some conversation with another person, and you just went in on me, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what is happening right now? Like, did she not hear all the stuff that I had to go through? I'm grieving too. I'm going through stuff too, like all these things. And then I just decided I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go from this business relationship. If I have any hopes of being friends with you, I gotta get out of this. These new people, they can come in and figure it out. I actually have someone for you. Here you go. Here she is. Goodbye. And then I needed time to think. And so that's what I did. And I think it was like a year because I didn't see August until his first birthday. That was like his birthday party was when no, I didn't see Asher. I didn't see Asher. No. Because you were pregnant with Asher right after our friendship breakup.
I was pregnant during our friendship breakup.
Yeah. You were pregnant with Asher.
I was pregnant during our friendship breakup. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I didn't get to see him until he was 2, I think. Maybe one.
I don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to like talk through what friendship breakups mean, like how they function, like just trying, like you mentioned, like learning how to set boundaries and how that was something you had to learn from me. So like, what boundary did you learn that you needed to set? And then how did you set it? And then how were you able to be my friend again when I kept harassing you?
So you used to text me all hours of the night about black and green stuff, and you would sprinkle friendship things in, and then it would just like, it was muddled. It was like, well, we can't talk about both. Like, so I gave you a time frame that you can message me. I was like, you could text me about personal stuff anytime. You can text me about black and green stuff between this time and this time. And you cannot text me on the weekend about black and green stuff. So that was like a boundary that we put up. That really helped a lot. And then it was like, okay, I want to come to your house when other people are not there because you and Jason love a dinner party. And so I'd be like, I'm not ready because our relationship isn't there yet. I need to just be there. So then that's when we did the whole family thing and then, coming over without anyone there outside of your parents, of course. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was like another boundary. Now I could do it. I still prefer to go there by myself, but I can do it if I need to. Like if it's really important to you, I'll come to something with other people.
Oh, well, that's so sweet. That's so sweet. But how did after you were hurt, after you were wronged, after you felt resentful, after you felt like I was ungrateful, why did you allow after that year for that friendship to kind of reconnect?
Because I thought about what you said at the very first dinner, and you were like, when we get in Essence, all of you guys are going to be in my spread. And that's another thing. You are a master manifester. There are a few things that you have said that have not happened. Like anything you say is going to happen, happens. Remember when you said, okay, this is when you didn't know Jamal. You said to me, you were like, you need a man that can cook. You need to just it's so good. It's so nice over here, girl. Like you need to get you a man cook, and then you get to eat, and then you just like fluff them up. Oh, it's so good. Like, and I was just like, yeah, there's no men like that. Lo and behold, the whole father of my children, he's right here, willing to, cook all the time. Yeah. What is other stuff? You said when I started looking for jobs outside, when I decided I was going to close my business, I said, do you think I could be a director before I went to apply? And you were like, if you take care of yourself, you can. That's the only way. And I was just like, okay, well, let me get started. So, start taking care of myself. And now I'm at work right now. Everyone at my job that knows me, not intimately, but like as a close colleague, they know I'm not coming to work unless I've done yoga, meditation or something, or sat with myself. I'm not going to be the same Kenda that shows up when I don't do those things if you don't have it. And sometimes I have one coordinator, she'll be like, did you do yoga this morning? Like, and I'm like, no. And she's, oh, okay, I can tell. Like something like that. And so I made it known from as soon as I got here how that was important to me. My VP, which is my division's VP, he had me on his, he has like a show, and where it's a way for everyone to get to know each other in the division. And I was like his second guest, and I was like, I have to proclaim it so that they know that like this is important to me, this is part of how I lead, is wellness is going to be infused in that. And there was a time where it wasn't, because prior to when you first came on, I would have wine at our meetings. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I would be like, and there's nothing wrong with wine. I'll have a glass of wine here and there. But like, it was like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Like, you know, I'm using it to get through my day. I'm not getting up and moving. I'm not journaling and checking back with myself. I'm not being still and just figuring out, is this move that you're about to make, does that make sense? And those are all the things you also showed that you can infuse wellness into anything that you do. Anything. You can, if you're going to go to a speaking engagement, you can also ask for these things. I remember the 2190 conference. Your stuff was packed. People were standing up in that area, and there were certain things that you needed. And you got them, and then you were able to get on stage, you know? And it's just like, it was admirable, but I didn't know how that fit into my life, because I felt also that I was just doing the most and always just like working, didn't have boundaries, all those things. So it was aspirational to watch you. And then it's funny how over the course of, you know, you coming back, how I had to infuse that into my life, you know, because it was like, I was at a do or die point where like I had to have surgery because I was not taking care of myself, wasn't listening to my body, did not even know the cues that was saying something is wrong. And so when I was faced with that, had an emergency surgery, and I came back, all those things that I remembered, I put into practice immediately. So the person that I am now, I'm a better human because of you. I'm a better sister friend because of you. You know, I could be a better friend to the Black women in my life because of you. Because you don't just lead, you lead by example. So you're walking the walk and you're talking the talk. If you walk into your house, it looks like a Black and green house. It looks like the persona that you made, or whoever you paid to make in the beginning. It looks like a Black and green house. The food that I eat, the cocktails that Jason makes, is Black and green food. The music that you play is Black and green music. Like, you live this.
Yes.
All your clothes are green. You have a whole green area in your closet. You know what I'm saying? So like, you really live that. And so when I got into this position I'm in now, I was like, I want to live it. I want to breathe it. I want them to know when they see me that what I believe in. And they do. And I'm not ashamed of it. And being able to take the judgment and shame away from that, because those are those little questions that you'll leave with me that I have to think about after I see you for a day. Then I have to explore those things, and then I put them into action, because I know only good will come of it, you know? And that's another reason why I know that Black and Green's second wind is coming. It's coming because there's no way it can die, because it still lives within you. There's no way it can die, because it still lives within those artisans who are hoping they can get on the platform because they know how transformative it has been for other artisans. You know? So, yeah.
I love that. Talk to me about forgiveness. How does forgiveness feel? How does that sit with you? When I say the word forgiveness, what does that bring up?
I always think of Jamal when I think about forgiveness, because I think that's like, between you and Jamal, those are my two biggest areas where I had to not only forgive you all, but I also had to forgive myself for my part that I played in it. There was a long time, and I think you were very patient with me, where I had a victim mentality. So if I came to you and I talked about a situation with a client or something like that, like, oh, this client did this, and it's like, could it be that da-da-da-da? And I'd be like, well, maybe, but, you know, living in my victimness. I loved it. I relished it. It was something that I could just complain. I could just, you know, misery loves company. So I could just sit in those hurt feelings. I'm dealing with a situation right now that is very similar. I'm not that victim person, but someone in my work life is. And to see it from the outside has been
Mm-hmm.
so eye-opening. And so I was able to forgive them ahead of time, not because I know that where they are right now, they don't see a way out from the victimhood, the blaming, the shame, self-shame, all of those things. And you
Mm-hmm.
can tell someone that they need to be compassionate with themselves and love themselves, but if they're not
Mm-hmm.
ready or it hasn't clicked for them, you just have to move forward.
Yes,
And
yes.
the fact that you were able to simultaneously love me through that era of my life and also this era of my life, and you saw me all the way through, and you
Mm-hmm.
saw who I see now, who
Mm-hmm.
I aspire to refine
Mm-hmm.
now,
Mm-hmm.
then is so remarkable to me because it's just like you have to have courage to love someone when they don't love themselves or they don't even like themselves, you know? And so that's something that I've taken, from you. It really talks about like when we talk about friendship breakups, loving someone through all their iterations, all their different eras, and sometimes you find that that's not going to work and you
Mm-hmm.
have to exit. And maybe that exit will be for a little bit, but maybe it will be forever. And that's okay because I think
Mm-hmm.
what's that saying? A reason, a season, and a lifetime.
Yep. Yep.
That's some situations, some people are just here to show you something about
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
And you have to like kind of look at the Rolodex of your friends and just really, see this might be a lifetime friend. I may not talk to them all the time, but it's always going to be love. I'm always going to hold them in high regard. If I have an event or something, I'm going to invite them. I'm going to love on their kids, all those things when I have the opportunity. But then there's those people where it's just like, they're cool. I'll see them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Another
Mm-hmm.
person who helped me with my boundaries is my sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She really helped me with my boundaries by defining something. Sometimes you put labels on people that they're not ready to claim. They don't
Mm.
feel the same way. And you have to decide how you are going to move forward
Yes.
with
Yes.
that,
Yes.
with that information that you have.
Yes.
So that's something that I think about too, like as I'm going along. But forgiveness to me just really means just seeing people where they are and still loving them through it.
Yes.
And it's such a loving forgiveness is so loving. It's just like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you did these things, but it doesn't matter. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things, we're not going to do this anymore. We're
Yep.
going to move forward. We're going to be better people to each
Yep.
other
Yep.
and show up when we can. And
Yes.
that's a contribution to the friendship.
And when you take a step back and realize how small of a kernel you are in the
Mhm.
world and
Yeah.
how all of your experiences really are such a small kernel, and you think about time and think about this experience too shall pass, and all the anxiety and frustration you're feeling today, you're not going to remember a month from now, a year from
Right.
now, 6 months from now. Like it's going to naturally spread out. So it's like ask yourself, why am I putting so much energy in it right now? Like why? Because I know in the big scheme of things, this ain't gonna really matter. I think that was what allowed me to, like, whenever you get your time, we'll come back because
Yeah.
we gonna be friends. So you ain't got no choice. So
Yeah. I think you've said that to me straight up. so, so,
like you ain't got no choice. So you just let me know when you work through it, and I'll be here.
yeah. Yeah.
But just like I think the perspective of it, like things just really don't matter. And I know that can seem kind of like glib and down and low, but like the exact opposite. Like things really don't matter. So
Yeah.
I read a book that you have one choice in life. Either you're going to be happy or you're not. That's it. And I was like, no, certain things can make you unhappy or not happy depending on what the system is. Da, 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 da. But then it's like, no matter what happens to you, you can choose to be happy or not happy.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a very interesting way of looking at happiness, is like where you put your energy on something. Like you can focus all your energy on what wronged you. You can focus all your energy on on something different. That's the only thing you can control. You can't control what's happening around you. You can't
Right.
control what someone else does. You can't control what people do. You can only control how you feel.
Control the controllables.
That's all you can control is how you feel. And so if I want to be happy, I will allow myself, and I'm not saying ignore when something makes you upset or ignore emotions or ignore frustrations. Let it hit you and process it and move on. Like, yep, I don't like that. I don't like the way that made me felt. I don't like that made me do. I'm gonna write that down so I can remember it to make sure I set that boundary or make that clear. That's not something I like. But I'm not gonna let it pull me down and continue to hold me down for the next couple of months. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I was talking with Dana from Spiritual Essence Yoga about giving yourself grace. And I asked the question, we always talk about give ourselves grace. What does that mean? And she said the root of giving yourself grace is forgiveness. And I
Mm.
thought that was interesting. It's like, in order for you to give yourself grace, you have to forgive yourself for whatever is happening.
Mm.
For the power of forgiveness. So
Yeah.
then my brain started going, why is forgiveness so hard? Why is forgiveness so hard? It's like it's like almost like we're trying to punish ourselves. Like, I didn't do that thing right, so I'm going to be mean to myself because I deserve that meanness.
Right.
Why?
Where's that coming from?
Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, why are we being mean to ourselves? Like, forgive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forgive.
I love that.
Forgive. And it took you, I probably asked you to do this interview a couple of months ago. So what were you processing to figure out you were ready?
Kristian. So I have been experiencing some grief around my business. I didn't realize it. I've been talking to my therapist about it. Like in my new position and what I'm doing now, I work in higher ed as director of social media. And I love it. I love what I do. I didn't think that I would ever work in corporate. So the fact that that's happening is crazy. But we had a lot of wins the first year. We continue to have like a lot of wins. And I just found myself not being happy or feeling like I should have felt, or I felt that I should have felt with all these wins. And I was talking to my therapist about it, and she was like, do you feel that you have like complete closure with your business? And I was just like, no, I feel like, the surgery like ripped everything out. I had to refund so many people. I had to just like really just take care of myself after that. There was no options. It was like, you have to rehabilitate. You have to not be on your computer. You have to do things that bring you joy. You need to get your energy back up. And so I had to just like leave what I felt was abruptly. And I think when you talk about podcasts and stuff, you always, most of the people that you or anyone interviews, they have some type of plug, like, oh, go here, go there, sign up for this course and go to my website and get my freebie and all those things that I was working on before, before this situation happened. And I don't have any place for you to point. I don't even want you to point my LinkedIn anywhere. Like, I don't have a offering. And when I talked to my therapist, she was just like, what are some small things that you can do? You may not open up the full business. You don't really have a lot of time to do that now, but maybe you can do like consulting, like once a month, just on a Saturday, 2 hours, you have a window open, or like office hours or something, or take your website, make it a resume of everything that you've done, all the businesses that you've touched, make it a gratitude a gratitude page where it's just like, thank you for working with me. Thank you for trusting me with your business, blah, blah, blah. Here's who we've worked with. Here's the freelancers that we've worked with and all of that. So that's what stopped me. And I still have not gotten my stuff into my web developer to even get this started. But I was like, I don't want to put this off any longer, because when you need something from me, I'm going to answer. It may not be immediately, but I'm going to, whatever you need me to do, I'm going to do. I still believe in your mission and vision. I still believe in you. I believe in the artisans. I believe in Black women. I believe that the things that we do for ourselves and create for ourselves are some of the most powerful skincare, hair care, body care products. I think Black and Green is a hub for you to find how to be healthy, happy, and whole. Even if you don't buy anything, there's so many blog posts, there's so many podcasts talking to, like you said, very amazing, influential people, women who care about other Black women and want the best for us. And so I know whether there is a little shame surrounding my story, that it could impact at least one person and maybe encourage them to really explore what Black and Green is outside of what they see on social media, and really look at the website and really see what there is to offer to enhance their life and to live so they can live more healthy and happy. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for pushing through your natural instinct to probably stop yourself. Thank you for pushing through what you're feeling and sensing as shame to show up and be here. Thank you for sharing your story.
I got you.
Yeah, because like I don't think we understand the power of our story. Like even if nothing else is created, you just sharing your story, it could help someone else, another group of girls who's going through a friendship thing and thinking it's over. Like, no, friendships breakups happen. Like you never know what
Yeah.
part of your story could be encouraging or uplifting to somebody else. Just I have found just being authentic, just being your real self is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I have never lost when I chose myself and I chose to show up as myself. Never. I can't think of a time. I always feel blessed
Yes.
afterwards when I know that I've shared. Like whether it's like an internal feeling or someone says something, it doesn't matter. It's just like, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I talked about
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to do our meditation and then I have one more question.
Now we will pause for a moment of meditation with Dr. Crystal Jones.
I needed that.
Good.
Also,
I
I
love,
need that.
yes. My last question is that you mentioned forgiveness around me and Jamal. Talk me through the forgiveness of Jamal.
Okay. Well, this is my favorite story to tell because I feel like God writes the best love stories. Um, so Jamal is the father of my children, the love of my life. But we had a 7-year break after we had our second daughter, Yael. And um, what happened, how we came back together. Well, first of all, we did not really talk to each other. We talked to our children, which is wrong. We should not do that. Talked to our oldest daughter. She talks to us all the time about this now, about how messed up we were. But basically, he lost his job in Tennessee, and we were living in Virginia. And he lost his job. The pandemic was happening. He didn't have any place to go except his where he was living in Tennessee. He didn't have anything going on, and so he came up to Virginia to spend Thanksgiving and Christmas with us. Or no, I think just Christmas. He came up for Christmas, and I wasn't thinking about him. He wasn't thinking about me. We were just thinking about, getting everyone all together. Because there was a period of time where our oldest daughter was with him and our youngest daughter was with me. And that was not a good time for them as siblings. And so we wanted to have a Christmas all together. So came up there, and Christmas turned into New Year's, and he was actually there present for, I have like a 5 to 10 vision board, 5 to 10 year vision board. He was actually there while I was making it. I was like putting men on there. I was like, yes, I'm going to find a man, and like, just putting it in there while we were there. And then he started looking for jobs up there, found jobs up there. And then we had the conversation like, hey, can I stay here? Can I be here, while I get on my feet and all that? And I was just like, yeah, sure. Whatever, homie. Yeah. And so we're just, one thing led to another. We slept in separate rooms. We weren't even checking for each other. I wasn't checking for him. I think he probably was checking for me, but I wasn't checking for him. And then we just had the conversation. I would go on walks because I had to walk our dog Bo, because it is our dog. We had to walk our dog Bo, went down. And so he started coming with me, and we started talking, and we just apologized for a lot of stuff. It was the first time that I realized I had a part in the disillusion of our marriage too. It was not just him. It felt like it, but it wasn't. There was things I could have done better, and we both just had those conversations. We had hard conversations where we both wanted to walk away, and we just like stuck in there and did it, not with the intention of getting together, but just an intention of our children being able to see whole parents who can be in the same room with each other, can be in the same room with, step parents in the future, or whatever came of relationships. And then April 2021, then he was just like, I'm ready to be together. And I was just like, you know what? I can do it. And so we did that. And now we have a beautiful baby boy who is our love child. We have a beautiful house. We are, closer than we've ever been, best friends. I'm just really proud of our growth because we had to trudge through some mud. I mean, we really got it out the mud. Like people say that, we got it out the mud. The Georgia clay, red, nasty, hard mud. Okay. We got it out the mud, and I'm really, really proud of us and what we're able to do. My daughter, our oldest daughter, she's 16 now, but she had teenage angst very early because of what we were dealing with. Complete 180. She's a happy child. She's flourishing with her art. She's flourishing in all the things that she's accomplishing. Our youngest daughter, she is just, she has her dad. That was like for the first 2 years of her life, her dad was with her every single day until we decided to separate and divorce. So having that back has just like invigorated her just as like a little girl who could just be with her dad. And truth be told, for me as someone who had an absent father, seeing the connection with my daughters, with their father, and the fact that we get to, they're raised with their little brother and we're all raised together, is so powerful to me because it's something that the generations before me, my mom and my grandma, were not able to reconcile. So I feel fortunate. I also feel fortunate because it is a second relationship. It's a second chance, second time around relationship. And, a lot of those falter, but, I believe ours is going to stand the test of time. And forgiveness was not easy, but it was so worth it to be able to get outside of myself and put myself in his shoes and look at it. It also healed my relationship with my mother-in-law because now I'm able to see, now that I have a son, he's not even 2 yet, but like I have a son now, and there's like a different feeling that I have as it relates to my son in terms of just like, what would I do if I was in his mom's shoes and then get home from college and then my son said he impregnated a child, a girl, I would be pretty upset. We tried to get you out of high school, barely got out of high school, and now we're going into college, and you got someone pregnant? Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy either. So we got to have those conversations, and I've had conversations with his brothers. He's had conversation with my sister. So it's just a much better place. I couldn't have written a better story. I literally could not have written a better story.
And what about your forgiveness with your mother?
That is still a work in progress, but I will be seeing her on her birthday.
Oh, wonderful.
Which is this Friday.
Oh,
so I will be in DC, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I found that guy we did this so I can stalk you some more.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for seeing the vision of Black and Green of what I was creating. Thank you for being a part of that journey. Thank you for forgiving me to allow our friendship to still foster. And thank you for seeing me this weekend when you're in DC.
Yes.
I know you didn't say you was going to see me, but you know.
Yes. We'll coordinate.
Awesome. Okay.
And thank you for letting me be on your podcast.
Thank you for being on it.